And then like like a Wonder Waggle was thrown around,
And it's like, that sounds not so good either. Like, geez, it still haven't come up with anything, right? So,
right. So
we're going back and forth, and Joe throws this out. Hold on. The Flight Test 2023 Aviation RC Noob.
good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Aviation RC Noob podcast. My name is Joe,
And my name is Matt.
and tonight, Matt, I thought we were on episode 70, but we're on 71. Apparently.
We're on episode 71, and we have a super exciting one. Oh, I'm so excited! Sorry, go ahead.
We got a little bit of an announcement to make. The NOOB Wonder is here.
Woohoo! That is our first very own podcast plane.
To an extent. I mean, we had the Spitfire skin last year. But,
we did.
But you've had some of your designs that you've been playing around with.
Sure. But this one is our design. Designed for us, for the podcast, for everybody.
So we've kind of been talking about this over the last little while about what we were going to do at the next FlightFest.
Mm-hmm.
And we've not said a whole lot about it just because we've been working behind the scenes with a couple folks to try to get it all planned out, what we were going to do. But the community voted. The community said they want to do Wonders this year for the FlightFest fly-in. And when that occurred, Spawns, the mastermind behind the Spawns foam Wonder, reached out and said that he'd be willing to do a custom variant for us. And Spawns has a multiple variants for his Wonders, and the variants tend to be just, little changes to some of the flaring that's on it, give it a slightly unique look. And Spawns was extremely patient with Matt and my's desires for designs, and also our lack of ability to get him good information in a timely fashion.
We didn't make him wait forever, but it could have been done more speedily.
Yes. But Spawns was very gracious with that and has put that into paper form for plans, and our very own Tony Lewis, I believe, beta built it.
He did.
And so we now have the NOOB Wonder, which just has some nice design elements that make it unique, but hopefully still very noob friendly. No information necessarily on how it flies, though it's a Wonder, so it's sure to fly like a Wonder.
It'll fly like a Wonder. I'm certain. I'm really, really eager to see it fly in the air and just see what kind of different tendencies it might have, if any. Part of our directives, I guess, to Spawns was that we wanted it to be simple to build, like simpler than the simpleness of the Wonder to begin with. So it's a pretty straightforward design. But we have a handful of flares that I think make it ours. We put the wings from our logo on the plane. So it really kind of stands out. That'll hopefully, it seems to be like, so all the different variations of the Wonder, there's a couple things that change. It's usually the treatment of the ailerons and the ends of the wings, and then the rudder fins in the back of the plane is what really sets apart one variant of this design from the next. So I felt it really important that we do something unique to us with those rudder fins. So I insisted that we put those little wings that we have on either side of the radio and our logo on either side of this plane. So I hope you love it like we do. That's for sure. We'll talk
which
more about it in a minute, I guess, right?
yeah, which Tony. So Tony made that really come to life
Man,
with
he
some
did.
decals that he did. Because otherwise it's just sort of like this generic outline shape. There's not the individual feathers, if you will. But he did up some decals that made it look really spot on.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great. And then now, I know you talk about wanting it to be easy to like very simple. Did Spawns change the wing construction at all? I felt like it was still
No,
just
the
like mostly
construction,
the
yeah.
wing edges and such that was
Right. So
getting
rather than
changed.
having a big round or any kind of shape to the outside, it's pretty much a straight chunk. And
Okay.
then the ailerons are straight across, the elevator is straight across. There's so you can take a ruler and just go and straight across and you're good. As opposed to maybe some sort of taper or anything like that. It's really basic. But
Nice.
that was the point.
Hmm.
It's for the noob. So look, we have, and we'll go into the things, the events we're going to have through the podcast here to promote and urge people to kind of take part in this, even if it's at home. And we'll get into those details. But as before we get there, we have what we usually do. We talk about at least what we've been up to in the last couple weeks. Kind of talk about the things that have been going on in the community. We hit our history. We do have a history here. There's a history of plankers, or at least a history of one of the planker planes that made it to be full scale. And then we'll get back into this wonder and maybe some more of the details of our different events that we're planning and thinking of, and request your help with helping some of that happen.
Mm.
So
Well,
what have you been up to, Joe? I heard you've been busy, is what I've heard.
yeah. So you and I spoke this morning for the first time, really, in like 3 weeks.
Oh my God.
uh, I tell you what, the new jobs, fantastic, but unless I call you first thing in the morning on my way to work, you and I don't get a whole lot of time to talk anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Plus, you
mean,
got the new lady.
right. So there are some times where I'm busy and I'm like, Joe, I'll talk to you maybe Sunday.
They're like, what? Don't you love me? And
And
you're
I'm
like,
like, I
yeah,
do
but
love
not
you,
as much
Joe,
as
but this,
her.
but you know, she wants to build a plane, Joe. She wants to build a plane.
She does.
Get out of
And
the
there was somebody
way.
else that wanted to build a plane.
Yeah.
So, in talking about the things that I've done for the past few weeks, uh, you'll remember I talked about having built the FT Tiny Trainer
Mm-hmm.
in the past, a month or two or so, 3 or however long ago. It's been a minute, but it's been sitting out there on my build table. No electronics put into it, but built-in control horned up and all. And one weekend going into like Friday night, I think I was working. Yeah, I was working from home one day, and I just had a few minutes here and there, so I pulled out one of the FT mini build kits and ended up building the. Oh, I'm turning around looking up at it. I think it's the FT Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a little bit while I was at work and while I was working from home,
That
as
one's
I had like
almost
5 and 10 minutes here and there.
that one's
Go
almost
ahead.
a planker in and of itself.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
short fuselage, pretty big wing.
oh yeah, it's just kind of this fold over. Um, yeah, simple enough wing. A lot of under camber to it, especially at the wing tips. So again, that one's just built but no electronics. And then later so I built that, and then the next day, the wild hair continued. So I pulled out the mini speedster and built that short of electronics and the mounting of the wing because I think I had to do something with the electronics mounting before I put the wing in permanently.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a Sparrow, the mini speedster, and then I offered my wife, because I was planning on building the tiny trainers just to get them built. I offered if she wanted to build one with me. She surprisingly agreed, and so over the course of a week and a half here and there, we worked on it and built 2 more tiny trainers. So now I have 3 tiny trainers, and looking at them, you wouldn't be able to tell which one I built and which one she built. I couldn't hardly tell. Once I picked them up and mixed them up, I said, I don't remember which one's hers. Which speaks to the quality that she did.
Heck yeah.
And I'm looking around.
She's a very careful lady. Even though it may not be her jam. She does
and
put
it wasn't.
But she does put care into the things she decides to put together. So
Yep. She's only going to put so much time into it at one time. She said I didn't hate it, but yeah,
that's almost a ringing endorsement.
So yeah, I had to get those electronics up so we can take them out flying sometime. I gotta get some F packs or A packs or something. And then I actually pulled out the 2 FT Long EZs I have and started on one. And then realized that I was going to have to put electronics in it before I could get too far into the build. And I don't have any 5-gram servos, and so I've been debating whether I was going to do 5 gram or 9 grams. I think I'm just going to run the 9 grams in it and not worry about the little bit of extra weight.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about, like, you have to get pretty small. Like the sizes that I was building of, like, the half-scale 7s and the half-scale stuff where you're like, maybe the 5 grams makes a difference. And I think I still put 9 grams in those. They flew fine. I wouldn't worry.
I just worry about the reliability of the 5-gram platform.
I think you should. My experience has been that's warranted. So 9 grams is far more reliable in my experience.
Yeah. Plus the 5 grams are already like a little more expensive than the 9 grams.
Yeah.
So I'll make the cutouts a little bit bigger and run with the 9 grams. And then I finally got my 3D printer working again.
Okay, this is where we insert fanfare audio here.
Air horns.
Yeah, I know, right? No, that's awesome. So what'd you end up having to do? What was the solution?
I switched my filament brand. I'd been trying to use Sunlu. And I know a variety of people have had good experience with Sunlu.
Right.
I don't know what my problem is. As far as Sunlu goes, it could be that my hot end is not reading the correct temperature. So when I'm setting it to 220 or 215 degrees Celsius, it could be that's running much hotter. And it could be that Sunlu is more faster to allow that heat to travel within the filament, and so it's traveling up through the filament at a faster than mine wants it to, faster than it can actually cool it, because the hatch box that I've got now, I'm not having any issues out of. I don't think the Sunlu filament was clogging, which can happen if you have inconsistencies in the diameter, the variance in the diameter of your filament, because I would have expected the clog to occur further back if it was really binding in the Bowden tube over filament diameter. I'm thinking it's just a brand issue, and that it's probably the filament taking the heat and running with it faster than it really needed to. Is the only thing I can really attribute it to. For now, I've switched back to Hatchbox. It's printing fine. I've run multiple prints through it at this point, and between that and using the I got Octoprint running on my desktop computer, and so I'm using the auto bed leveler. I got the bed leveler visualizer plugin running, so I can run the leveler and then visually see the bed and what it's doing. And yeah, between a couple other things, in adjusting that bed, it's getting my Z offset tuned in a little better so that my first layer prints decent. I'm finally getting some really good prints again, and I'm able to do some things. And this, I don't know if you, I think I mentioned it to you. It didn't seem like you had known it, but in looking for how do I get old PLA off my print bed,
Yeah.
Especially because that
Especially the
when I was
thin stuff.
yeah, like that thin stuff that you can't really get your scraper under.
Mm-mm. You can just
It's
sort
more
of
almost
try to
like you gotta
push it.
sand it off.
No, don't do
Take a
that. Don't
razor
do that.
to it, and I
Yeah.
know, but like you just
Razor
kind of
maybe, but
wearing it off.
yeah.
But yeah, but you can't take a razor to a textured surface like I've got.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
I don't have a glass top,
Right.
so the recommendation that I found that worked was to heat the bed to 80 degrees Celsius. That's the temperature at which the PLA softens.
Oh.
And then you can take your scraper and work at it, or if you got tweezers, you can go at it with two tweezers, but you can kind of work at it and get corners to lift and peel back. And I was able to get all the old, real thin layers of PLA off my print bed, which was nice.
Very good.
And then Richard Spitfire, let me pull up the 3D printing channel because he mentioned something. He was responding to where I put in there about it. He said, for regular PLA, I've always used 60 degrees for the bed and added wide strips of blue painter's tape for really good bed adhesion, and is less messy than glue or hairspray. I've not yet had to use glue or hairspray for bed adhesion. Maybe it's because I'm using a textured surface.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why they supply those. When using the glass, it's a 50-50 shot. Actually, it's better. It tends to adhere actually for me better, but every once in a while I'm like, no, I need to add a little glue. That makes all the difference if it is not sticking. But with the glass bed, most of the adhesion is solid, except on occasion, and then on that occasion, a little bit of glue that'll fix it. I've rarely had any questions past that. It's important though that you don't have a bunch of dust all over your bed, and in either case, because that destroys adhesion pretty quickly. So clean off your bed before you start, and you'll have far better adhesion than if you chose not to.
Well, at this point, because of the number of items I'm printing, and because I'm printing with a brim, which I was not a fan of, but now that I'm able to get that single layer of PLA peeled back off, if I can heat the bed up and get it off. I'm a much bigger fan of brimming.
Okay.
Plus, I've had in the past where I had like 3 parts that I was printing, but I didn't print the brim.
Okay.
And the print head knocked into a part as it was traveling. And because it was just the part of, it was a wall of the fuselage for the Model B, it was just those 2 layers, those 2 side-by-side layers forming a wall. He just knocked it right off the print bed.
Oh.
And then I had spaghetti hanging everywhere.
Yeah, you did.
Because I went to work and came home to find that.
That's the worst. And because you're like, what am I gonna do with that? And you look at it, you're just like, that was a waste.
That's so much wasted PLA.
Yeah, time, a little bit of money, plastic.
So speaking of the Model B, I have the wings printed, which I had printed the wings in the past. But at this point, I have, I believe, the entirety of the fuselage and the empennage printed, and I have various bits and bobs as far as the ailerons and tips of the vertical and horizontal stabilizer. So I got some other specialty, like where I got to do like 2 top layers and 8 bottom layers and that's, but to start mixing in there. But I've got a lot of the parts printed, and I've been printing like a madman while this thing is working. Sort of taking a run while you can until it quits again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of what I've been up to, which is more than I've been up to in a while. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed, and I'm pleased to see that because you seem really excited about it. And honestly, this is the perfect time to really. And this is the time of the year to really kind of get just a little ahead on the builds, so that way you have a couple planes ready for when it's time. I know you're still looking at power systems before you can really get some of those in the air, but really, you're kind of ahead of the game. That way you're ready to go when you're like, okay, this weekend we're going to go get it done. I ordered parts.
Yeah.
They're going to be on the way. We're just going to put them in on Friday and go flying Saturday or Sunday, whichever's the clearest day, right?
Well, and we've just not had good flying weather down here in the past
No.
while, so it's either been bad or it's just been cold. And overcast and windy. So
the cold's not fair.
It's really not. But my mother and I went fishing instead, and it was really cold when the wind got going. So kind of glad we didn't try to go flying that day because the wind was whipping too much. It wouldn't have been good. So talk to me about what you've been doing.
All right. No, I'm not talking about anything. We're not talking about anything at all.
No. Okay. Well, on to community.
Oh, man. No, just kidding. No. No, so I had ordered, I was talking to my buddy from Israel, Mayan. I mention his name every once in a while. He's a guy who won was it 2-3 years ago? He's the builderariest builder there ever has been. He's the one who built 13 planes and flew them in 1 month, which is a feat that I always kind of hold him up high for that. It's like, how did you do that? Anyway, talking to him, and he's had a, here and there, and we kind of have the same journey in the sense that some of this that I do, I found was now for me, but originally it was to kind of get my family involved and kind of get us a little bit closer together. And that was his journey as well when he started getting into flight test stuff. And we were just kind of catching up a bunch here and there. And one of the planes, because he knows I love the Prandtl T, he was talking about the Carbon Falcon. So I ordered one the other week. And it's kind of an expensive kit for what it is, like a 42-inch, looks like a hang glider made out of, the ripstop nylon kite material. But it basically has 2 servos in the middle, and they rotate rods that twist the outer parts of the wing and they fly this Proverse yaw that we've talked about before. And it flies like a bird. And it also has a pretty wide flight envelope because it's a hang glider. So it's really lightweight. It gets a lot of lift for what it is because it's under cambered. So it's an indoor flyer. It's an outdoor glider. It can fly fast. It can fly slow. And he says, Matt, you'll love it. Like, no, really, you'll love it. They're going to give you these weird clip things. After you put it together, you'll kind of know which ones I'm talking about. Replace those with metal ones, and you'll be in great shape forever. This thing is nearly indestructible because it weighs almost nothing. It's made of carbon fiber and ripstop nylon. I mean, it doesn't, and it's made out of like a tiny 1404 with a quadcopter, like one of those 3-inch quadcopter motor props. Like, all of it's indestructible. Like, you're fine. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. So I said, okay, sounds good. So I wanted to see how this thing worked, and I purchased it. So it's come in. I've looked that I've gotten all the parts, and I'm really eager to build it. Last time I sat down to build, my focus, though, was to help Amy get her plane builds so she could have something to fly next time we go out.
Yeah, how's that been going?
It's been going excellent. Actually, that's kind of on the list, so I'll jump to that, and then I'll come back to the other.
Okay.
So, yeah, she last time she cut out pants, and it was like, well, we got to make pants. She's like, it's an airplane. I don't need pants on an airplane. What are you talking about? I'm like,
the wheel pants.
I'm like, the wheel pants. And she's like, why would I need pants on my wheels? They're wheels. And I'm like, but this model's got pants. You should put them on. Don't leave naked pants or naked wheels. You need to put pants on them. Anyway, so we went back and forth about that stuff. And then we ended up putting the wheels together, put the pants together, bent the landing gear wire, and kind of showed her what that process was about, let her kind of fiddle with it a little bit. And so that's ready. We put a tail skid of some sort on the tail, and she's like, it needs to be higher. I'm like, no. Have you ever seen a tail dragger plane? Like, the tail sits low, and it kind of angles up a bit. That's how it's supposed to be. And I said, and once you kind of get that set, you level out the pants based on it sitting on the ground as a tail dragger. So you kind of, rubber band the thing on, and then you let it sit, and that's where you glue the pants. That's the angle, right? So that's how you set those. And she's like, oh, well, that seems silly. And I'm like, it might be, but that's what it is. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of what you need. Um, anyway, so she's now left with installing 2 servos and hooking the wire up, and putting the rear turtle deck on, and putting a prop on. We've tested the gear. It works. We've set up a radio and tested that it controls all the things. So we are really literally probably one sitting away from being complete. And then she's already been taking some tape and really small scissors and, putting color on her pants.
Nice.
I'm trying to think where else she's putting color. She's got a couple other spots. Oh, her wheels. She put color on her wheels and she put them on her pants. So she's getting started. And I told her, I said, next time we work, once those electronics are in, it's all about just making it, you be able to tell what top is versus bottom, and you should be ready to go. She's like, oh, that's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we were pretty good about that. And part of why she was over and part of why we didn't really record a podcast was I had I'll call a semi-medical emergency on Wednesday that kind of took 3 or 4 days to repair from. So we missed our normal record date last week. And then after that happened, there was just no way. And I don't think you had time either. But
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, man, me too. Yeah. And I just, I got to find a way
I
to
didn't
get this
realize
crap
how
this
bad
time.
it was.
Me neither. Until she came over with an O2 sensor and was like, Matt, the oxygen level in your body is way too low and it's dangerous. You need to not do this. You need to be better and safe and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, well, at least it explains what's been going on the last couple of days. She's like, yeah, your body doesn't have even enough to keep awake, let alone to function. And here you are trying to be, super dad, running the baseball practices and getting this and that and lunches and get to work. And anyway, so, so that's what it was. I've also, I've tried for a week and a half to put in 1 servo on the Clurican, and I have failed every attempt at trying to get that darn thing in, including today. But that's okay. We did other things. I worked on the Puri plans. The foam Puri plans need some labels on the parts, and then I will be able to put them up and have them available for people to download and build one yourself. It's an awesome build. Again, it's using that same F-Pack. You can go larger if you want. It's a big, thin wing. It looks great. It flies great. And if you don't build it like I did the first time, it won't fall apart on you in mid-flight. But it does look pretty when it does come to the ground in a flutter. I did work a little bit today on the time saver. I printed out a couple parts, so I did a little bit of 3D printing. And what I thought was like, oh, this thing, the filament had cracked a couple places because I'm down near the center of the roll where it's a little bit tighter wound, and the filament has been sitting out for maybe 2 months now in the air, so it's a little bit more brittle. And so I'm like, oh, this is going to be a pain to do all this. So I kind of pushed the filament through a little bit after the heating stuff was hot, got it all connected so that it go into the tubes, and I started printing, and it printed out great.
Nice.
Like, okay, perfect. So I needed to print out the lobe that sits on the motor itself in the time saver, and that's the part that has the little knob that the needle sits in.
Right.
It goes up and out. I think last time it kind of melted because there's too much friction somewhere. And this last time, I also needed to print one of those needle length trimmers where you kind of make the loop up top and then you put it in this jig and then you can tell how long to cut. You cut it and then you sharpen the end of the needle.
Okay.
So I needed to print those 2 things and they went really quick. I think total 45 minutes for the whole shebang. Again, while I was doing other things, it's pretty awesome. So, and then we tried to go simming last weekend.
Yeah, and now that I see that, I remember you reached out to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and apologize, but go ahead.
Whatever. You had things, just like I had things. I'm not going to worry. I just remember, I'm like, Joe would remember what was going wrong with my computer, that all of a sudden we did the thing. It was like, delete the drivers for the USB stuff and let Windows fill it back in with current things. And then it goes, oh, I know exactly what's going on. Everything works. And it all works like it's supposed to.
So I think the correct answer, it was something like that, but if I remember correctly, you had to go in and point it to a different driver manually.
Yes, that's what it is. Okay, so we need to go through it and figure that out. And then I need to undo it, hit the record button and redo that, make a video and make sure it's in our NOOB sim channel so that we have that there too. Because it's really important for those people who also are running the same problem. So the problem is that Windows driver is not recognizing my Radio Master T16S.
Mm-hmm.
It sees it as USB device. It's like, it doesn't even tell me like what, I have to go hunt and down which one is the USB that's going in and out when I disconnect, right? It's a pain to find it. Anyway, once...
In the meantime, I can go ahead and tell you.
Okay.
If I'm remembering this correctly, in the meantime, you can go to the device manager.
Right.
Okay. Locate your thing. And in this case, I'm looking at my webcam, but locate your thing in the device manager, right click, go to properties.
Mm-hmm.
In the driver tab, you can hit driver details and it'll pull up, and that should be all the relevant drivers that are present.
Okay.
Okay. If I remember, and you just choose the one that you want to use, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm not promising that was the way, but because if I remember correctly, there was like a new driver that released.
Right. And it doesn't work right.
That was treating your controller as like some sort of
pointing device or something.
Yeah, it was something weird instead of treating it like a joystick.
Right. And it needs to treat it like a joystick. It's like it was doing the wrong thing. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Now that you bring that up, I remember.
Right. No, and I'm glad because I'm like, you'll remember what it was because it was something. And I kept going back and forth, and Amy's having the same problem with hers.
I remember there was one other guy in Discord way back then. We need to do another sim night.
We do. And we also need to get that fixed and make sure other people know how to as well. I think it'll be worthwhile for everybody, especially with more people having Radio Masters, especially because they were super on sale. And if you jumped on the deal when you jumped on it, for, what was it, like $60, some ridiculously like 60% off or 70% off, you could get a Radio Master T16S Hall gimbaled. Like, it's the deal. It's the real deal. So she and I both got one, and I need to set it up. We were both looking to sim. I know she bought it so she could sim and practice and get good. So that way when we do go out with, and she has
scrub.
Exactly. When she has the opportunity to get enough money for the rest of the stuff, because it takes time to get that kind of funding sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sound something you can just do all at once for everybody. Having a sim, the whole point was she wanted to have the simulator and she'd teach her kids that way and then see how good they were doing with that. And then when she got a plane, we could all fly, right? Like, so that was the goal. And I thought it was awesome. And I was really disappointed that I couldn't help her get started. And I couldn't get me started. I have a dongle. I bought a dongle, the 1 in 20 or 1 in 10 dongle, and that works. But at the same point, not always. And it's really down to this device driver. That's what really messes once, because I remember once I fixed that, all of the things worked exactly like they're supposed to. But without that, and I bet you I'm not the only one with this problem. I have an up-to-date computer. It's a Microsoft Windows thing. And mine just does it the wrong way when it updates Windows, which is all the time. So I need to have this as a video for myself, for nobody else.
So what happens, and this is, again, recalling from the past, and I remember we had the conversation on an episode after the fact, is, without going too deep into it, drivers are a in-between software that tells your operating system how to use the device that's connected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gives
And
it the protocol or language it needs to be able to do stuff.
right. Again, it stands as a stand in between, a middleman, if you will. And so, the Windows has a variety of drivers. There's Windows default drivers, and then a company will come out with its own drivers. And so that's why you can get something hooked up to your computer and it's working, and they'll be like, you should update the drivers. And then so the drivers that it has is just enough to have it working. There's some generic drivers, and then you download the special drivers that fully unlock or actually work with the thing. Well, both of the drivers, if I'm remembering correctly, that the Radio Master was interfacing with Windows are both Windows drivers, but there was an older one that treated it correctly, and then a newer one that was released that shouldn't have applied to the Radio Master, but gets assigned to the Radio Master when you hook it up to the computer, and that's where it handles it wrong.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's just going in there and swapping it.
Yeah, that's and I remember it being as simple as that.
Yeah, once you knew what to do, I was like, oh, here.
And it's
so
been
easy.
It's been so long, and when I went to redo it again, it's like, oh yeah, let's mess this up again.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know that I would have. I remember seeing where you had reached out to me, and I just never got back with you. But I seem to remember. I don't know at that time that I would have remembered. But now that we're sitting here talking, I was like, oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So, do you want to talk about community events, or you want me to talk about some comments first?
Why don't you talk about some comments, and I'm going to,
finish filling that area out.
Yeah, just because I'm going to add an extra one that I know I'm going to attend, and it's not something that we'll both necessarily be at, but it'll.
Let's say May 56. What calendar are you looking at?
I'm looking at the Mayan calendar, clearly.
So, yeah, we actually had quite a few comments come in since we last sat down and spoke. So let me go to our show comments section. Let's see. Trying to remember how far back these go. Last episode we had Tony on, right? Yeah. So we had Spitfire say, really enjoyed listening to episode 70 and learning about Flying Tiger, Tony. Spring Sprint Wrap-Up Challenge. It's a great idea to inspire the community to resume those started but unfinished projects. So yes, excellent concept there for Tony. JRC, always like listening to Flying Tiger. Bring both balsa and foam/foam board together. Enjoyed it. Yagi said Tony was great. It'd be a nice feature along with aircraft history to highlight, for better or worse, a member of Noob Nation. Thank you for the podcast. Makes me really excited about FlightFest. Well, not the peanut butter tub, but already a volunteer and pilot privileges for the weekend. See all y'all in June.
All right.
And he said, and let's meet up at Edgewater on Wednesday evening. I'll definitely be there to start off the weekend. Come join me. So we may be able to get up there early enough to do the Edgewater thing. That's just a long drive for us.
Yeah, to be there by Wednesday for sure. We might be able to pull that off. Unfortunately, we can't make any promises about that until we're there.
Yep. And then there was some back and forth about noobs over Edgewater, which was a great idea.
Love it.
Or Brian said, I'm looking forward to meeting more people at FlightFest this year. I dragged the family down last year for just one day, and we had a blast. So this year we were borrowing an RV and staying for the whole thing. I'm only partway listening to a new episode, so I'll hold any additional comments. Anybody doing RVs this year? If we get rain. Now, we didn't have any rain last year. At least not until we were packing up and leaving. But my first year, there was so much rain. Just be mindful of what the volunteers and the red shirts are saying, as far as RVs. If you need to stay, if they want people to stay put. Especially the RVs. We saw one or two of them get stuck in a variety of vehicles
Yeah.
get stuck, and it's only like an inch and a half of mud, but it will get those things stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And then it makes it hard to get everybody in and out from that point forward. So
yeah, then it becomes just a big jam.
then we
Um,
all point at you. Usually laugh a little. No.
now here's one on another type of feedback which we'll take into account. Tench, who was hanging with us last year at FlightFest, said, "Just finished episode 70. Great hearing from Tony and the successful meshing of new and traditional modeling techniques. A little thing, when the music crescendos at the end of the episode, I always have to turn my volume down. Any chance you could reduce the final volume a titch next time?" Got you, buddy. Not
Yeah.
a problem.
Sorry about that. Sometimes it's not always apparent how loud it is while we're doing our edits.
Yeah. And I'll do my edits in headphones at my computer, but different listening devices. So I'll make a note to pull that volume down a little bit more on the outro music. I'm sure it's a shock when we've been kind of at conversational level, and then the ending crescendo swell comes in and just blasts your speakers out. So
Right.
we'll take it a little easier on that. Then we had, without spending too much time, some email comments come in.
Awesome.
I may have discussed this last episode, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to read it again. We had a comment from Justin say, "Love the podcast. I just found your podcast in February. Great info, fun format. As I listened to episode 35 this morning at work, it dawns on me you guys have lost several planes in the woods beans." I may have read this one.
You did. You know what I did? I bought one.
Did you?
I did. I bought one. I don't know if it'll help me.
So when my brother and I used to fly drones out in the country and foothills, we used to use a drone beeper / finder because we flew in waist-high grass and mountain mahogany. It hooks up to the board and you connect it to your momentary switch on your transmitter. Might be useful as long as you didn't eject your battery. Thanks for the great podcast, Justin. Well, thank you again, Justin. I guess I did read that last time because I remember us having a little bit of a conversation about it afterwards.
You did. You did. I ended up buying the Vifly. I found it on Amazon. The Vifly Finder V2 FPV racing drone buzzer with battery, lost drone alarm, 110 decibel tracker.
Whew.
Works as a normal buzzer or a standalone beeper, one piece. And it's basically like it's got a switch. Basically, you turn it on or turn it off, and you can connect it to your flight board, so it can tell when it's lost signal.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you don't, I think you basically there's also a little connector so you can actually charge the battery back up. So yeah, I'm gonna figure out how to use that and see. I might purposely put one down in the field and turn off the transmitter just to see how long it takes and what it sounds like out in the wilderness for sure. But
Nice.
in the meantime, I do have one in my possession as long as I don't misplace it. I also have a couple of those traditional, LiPo battery voltage testers that double as a battery alarm if you need it.
Yep, and a ESC will drain it over time.
It will. And that's the other thing is, those are great unless your battery flings out of the plane and tosses the battery tester and all that stuff to the four winds, in which case, no use. However, theoretically, this Vifly Finder will start beeping wherever the heck it's at, and hopefully that's close enough to all the other pieces. You might be able to find what you need, even if it does get flung out. Hopefully, it'll help you get where you need. So. Yeah.
Following up on the beeper comment, I'm going to apologize to the person who left this comment, because it came through the Podbean app, and I've logged into Podbean on my computer, but I can't access any show comments. And apparently, the email where I got the comment notification said view and manage all your comments in the Podbean app only. So thank you, Podbean, for being a royal pain to interact with the audience. But I tried to log into Podbean on my phone, and it's automatically signing in with my personal account instead of with the podcast account. So I couldn't see any sort of a name attached to this one, though. I do see their profile image with a 2-blade heli.
Nice.
But it says, the comment says, it's standalone and works great. I use just one to Velcro to all my aircraft, and they included a link to Race Day Quads. It's a Vifly beacon wireless self-powered drone buzzer.
That's essentially almost exactly what I bought. So.
Oh, nice.
I'll be able to test out. I'll report back when I give it a good go. And then maybe I won't ever lose one again. Theoretically.
Excellent.
I hope so.
And it looks like I might have just one more for us.
Sounds good.
That's a lot for us.
I know, right? I love it.
Haven't we heard from Tracy Glenn before?
We have. Yep. His face looks really familiar, and I remember seeing a comment here and there.
That face.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, it was cool to hear you mention the first World War II jet-powered fighter, the ME-262. Very historical plane that anyone into aircraft is familiar with. It is so famous, I learned about it in history class in the public school system, and it even had a cool song written about it. It included the YouTube link.
Get out of here. There's a cool song.
Yeah, it's by Blue Oyster or something like that.
Blue Oyster Cult?
Yep, Blue Oyster Cult.
Heck yeah.
On your feet or on your knees. 9 ME-262 in 1975.
Heck yeah.
So.
That's the date. That's the year I was born. Nice.
Oh, nice.
That's right. I literally just dated myself. It's fantastic. Cool. Thanks a lot, Tracy.
You're only 11 years older than me.
Fine. I can be an old man. I'm all right with that.
It's fine. I got gray in my beard too. I ain't judging.
All right, cool. Well, hey, thanks for the comment and thanks for the song. I can't wait to listen to the rest of it.
Yeah, and everybody who wrote in, thank you. It's actually been surprising the past couple of weeks seeing all the different conversations coming in and comments. That's been nice. So thank you guys so much for the kind words and sharing your thoughts with us.
Yeah. I've got two other little community things before we move past this. Just real quick, as another reminder, if you have not, go out and you can go to the FPV Freedom Coalition. They have a link to the form letter that they put together for you to reach out to each one of your constituents in the government so that they can tell FAA what the heck to fix in their FAA Reauthorization Act. So you want to reach out to each of your representatives and your senator. Your representative and your 2 senators, because there's only 1 representative for each area, and then they have 2 senators for the whole state. Make sure that they each know, because they each vote on this bill. They each have a vote towards it, and to just change that rule, adjust it. That's what they're wanting us to try, is to increase the bottom limit of the remote ID requirements from 250 grams to 1 kilogram. In that note, there's a bunch of information on the whys behind it and how the 250 is not based in science. The 250 kilograms or grams is not based in science, and that 1 kilogram has a lot more merit and science behind it if we're looking for safety. Another little thing is, after talking to Sam a little bit, it looks like Sam is going to continue to sell his airplanes, the ones he has, and he's going to see how that goes after kind of looking.
Times.
I know, and that.
Sorry.
That's awesome. That's really awesome, and that's kind of how we feel, honestly. I love that Sam, his passion has always been kind of putting plane kits together. He really enjoys, I guess, the other part, which is the rock crawling, which seems to have, especially in these times where people aren't really certain, they're like, yeah, but I can always just have a rock crawler. Plus, it's easier to get kids started there. So he's focused on both of those areas, but he is going to kind of reopen the airplane stuff. So his kits are still available. Reach out to him, let him know that you want one. And that leads us to this next segment, to the end segment. He has a special kit for sale that we would love you to go. If you do not want to cut one out yourself, if you don't want to, I don't know. I guess if you don't want to cut one out yourself, you can have him cut one out for you. if you want to build a foam wonder with us, go reach out to him, and he will send you you can purchase a speed build kit from him, and he'll basically have one that's cut out. He also has motor kits and things like that that you can outfit the rest of it with if you need. So we'll review that again later when we talk about the NOOB Wonder in more detail. But that's it for the community.
And before anybody worries that buying a speed build kit is the only option, these are Dan Spawn's plans, and like like all his other foam wonders, the plans are out there to be downloaded and had.
Right. And I believe we're going to download them. I'm thinking he's already given us permission to do this. We're going to keep a copy pinned to the Aviation RC NOOB Wonder gaggle post, I think is where it might be a good place to put it. Pin it to the top of that.
Okay, in the Discord?
Yeah, in the Discord. That way, if you're going to do that thing, the plan is there. The plans are free. And Sam will have a link to the plans from his site as well. Like, again, if you just want the plans, go get them, download them, build your plane, build it however you need, use a time saver. I know once I've got a cut file for the time saver, I plan on uploading it to the data bank set over there. So that way, if you want to cut out your own and you've got a time saver, go do it. We just want everybody kind of building one, however fits into their budget, their time, or their abilities. So go do it. But it's really awesome that Sam was like, yeah, I got a laser. I'll cut out kits for you. Just have everybody, just come to the website and they can, he's selling it at pretty much the same cost as the Foam Wonder, maybe even a little bit less. I don't even know. But I think the Bloody Wonder is basically the FT version of the original, like way back in the day. And they sell theirs for, I think, $30. I think he was estimating his might be about the same cost. So it's not like it's going to be any different, any more or less expensive. And, that's going to support the cause, and hopefully you'll have a lot of fun with this when you get there. But the plankers aren't the only thing in aviation that have been around, and it's not just RC, right?
Sure.
There's been plankers that have been made full scale, right?
Yeah. Your segue caught me, but go ahead.
I'm sorry, I did. You were going to say something else, so that's why I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. I was just going to say, like, we've already pretty much hit like 80% of what's in our Foam Wonder section. Do we want to just go ahead and finish talking Foam Wonder stuff and then do the history segment?
Okay, yeah, let's do that, and then we'll talk about the history of the history of a planker airplane that really existed, and you could have built it yourself. Matter of fact, you probably could still go out and get the plans and build it yourself.
Nice.
So we'll cover that in a minute. So yeah, let's talk about NOOB Wonder. So again, big, special, uber awesome thanks to Dan Sponholz for taking our variant ideas and being willing to kind of put those ideas to paper and develop the plans. And extra special thanks to Tony, who then took those plans in a matter of a blink of an eye and put together not only a prototype, but he really did a great job of kind of bringing out that 1930s racing spirit, that racing plane spirit, and kind of putting together a decal that really, I felt, captured the spirit of what I think Joe and I were aiming for. So it really makes me excited to see it.
Yeah, he did up the decals on it, decals and striping, and he showed a picture. I was like, that looks fantastic. Now that said, and we'll have to double check with Tony before we release this one. I know he said as much.
Said it. He said. No, he said it.
Okay.
He said anybody who's in our Discord who would like a complimentary decal set, and you can get if you want to see what the decal set looks like, you can actually print it out and download it on your own. It's a resource in the FlightTest forums alongside the new.
Is the decal set in the forums?
The decal set, and it's with the original Wonder logo from the Sig Wonder. I think he took that original logo and he put that in there. Okay. And so that's available, so you can get it almost immediately. But he has offered to our Discord group, if you're in the continental United States, that if you request one, he will print out a decal set for you and send it your way. And he will personalize it if you give him a name and a number to put on there, or a type font. So he'll get that set to you as best he can. I'm sending him stickers as we speak. They'll be in the mail tomorrow morning. I'll probably to him this after by the end of the week, which means he will probably start sending those out at the end of the weekend. Is my guess, because he's just awesome. But yeah, so
yeah, that was really great of Tony, because he didn't have to do that.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. That's so awesome of him. You can reach out to him at Flying Tiger Tony, Tony in parentheses. He has a dynamic RC logo for his symbol. And just reach out to him anywhere on our Discord and let him know what you want.
Mm-hmm. And because this is going to be our fly-in plane for this year, last year we had this, we call it the Spitfire Squadron or the Spitfire Gag. Anyway,
what did you call it?
Yeah, so for reasons, I had the idea, because we were deciding what we were going to call this thing this year, and I decided to be really ridiculous with the naming convention, because we were just tossing around like, no, that doesn't sound good, and Gaggle or Flock or this or that.
Yeah,
and so
Dan mentioned a while back that he just wasn't really a giant fan of Gaggle. It just sort of happened, and there's like no way to escape it after a while, and he's like, oh, well, I'll just deal with it,
Yeah, and then like like a Wonder Waggle was thrown around,
and he's like, that sounds not so good either. Like, geez, it still haven't come up with anything, right? So we're going back and forth, and Joe throws this out. Hold on. The Flight Test 2023 Aviation RC Noob Podcast / Dan Sponshold / Tony.
Spelled his name wrong.
Spelled his name wrong. Quote, Flying Tiger, parenthesis, I forgot his last name, and parenthesis, Noob Wonder Gaggle Waggle Free Flight Combat Fly Extravaganza. Or
nice. or
the
FF23 ARCNP /DSS /TF # NWGWFFCFE !
Or the Wonder Jumble
Combat. Yeah.
So we're not really sure if it's going to happen, but if you see one of us wearing these shirts, now you know why.
Or if you see the shirts become available.
I know, right? Holy cow. That was, I think that had all of us in stitches that day. Oh my God. Joe, you're trying to kill me, I swear.
So one of the funniest parts of that was just that I had said Tony Flying Tiger. I forget his last name, and I had it's Lewis, by the way. But now, because of that, like, even though we know it's still going to say I forget his last name in the name of that, just it's.
Oh my God, so fantastic.
That's some of that behind the scenes stuff, because there's been a lot of there's a couple side chats that are involved with this Wonder thing, and we've been having a blast with it. So guys that are involved in this, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And you know what? And I also want to say, like, I think we came down to the Wonder Jumble Combat is kind of what we're aiming for, like the noob group, the noob wonders. It's going to be the Wonder Jumble. It's a collection, a loose collection of us, and we're going to try to have a combat with them, I'm sure. So,
so we do want to maybe let's plan on by next episode having an idea of one or two times. I say one or two because people will have volunteer schedules. Maybe one or two times. I'd prefer like one, but I know that people will have schedules.
I think we should have two.
Twice that we'll meet up for the Wonder Flies.
And we're working with FlightFest to be able to put it on the schedule. So when you go there and you have your schedule, as I understand it, Dan is putting in a thing, and I'm going to see if I can't get an email in there as well and say, hey, look, we definitely are doing this thing. We'd love to have you this. And then with that say, hey, we have a couple of other ideas. Let's, if you don't mind, let's talk about a couple of them and see what we can pull off. But this was definitely one of the big ones. With that, Okay, so now we know how to get them, right? The plans are available everywhere for free. You can get a kit sent to you pronto. You can get stickers sent to you pretty quickly. Um, you can download them yourself. You can get started almost immediately. Like I said, I'm going to work at putting together ERC time saver um, cut files, so you can cut one at home if you've got one of those. Also, um, what was the last piece of that? Another way to
Muttley?
basically get it to, we won't get, almost there.
Okay,
But
my bad.
once you have your parts and pieces and all that, I wanted to put together a build video so you can build one yourself, and it's maybe Joe and I could get together one of this like this weekend or something and just bust out some ridiculous. Anyway, I don't know. I want to put together a build video so that you can see how to put one of these together. If you cannot attend, and maybe it's just us recording our first build night of this, and then basically, hopefully that will be me putting one together and showing everybody how. And we'll record the screen, and that we'll put it up on our YouTube channel and pass it to everybody. If you want to fly it, that'll be a quick way to get it built. We have 3 dates we are setting aside specifically for the NOOB Wonder building. 2 of those dates, Joe and I can definitely attend. Saturday, April 15th, starting at 2 p.m., going until about 5. Then we have 2 Friday nights. The May 5th is going to be just me. We're going to start at 8. And then the 26th. And we'll honestly probably be building on and off the rest of that weekend, knowing the way we tend to go. We're going to start at 8 and go to 11 on both those 2 nights. So April 15th, May 5th, May 26th. I've created events in our Discord. I'm going to do the same thing in Facebook. As that way, it's a quick, easy way to get reminders for yourself. Come out, join us, build. I'm going to do like we did with the Spitfires the other year, where I'm going to cut out a stack, and I can just keep building a bunch of combat planes. They'll be ready. Here's one. Make it yours. Make it pretty. That kind of deal. So, and then the other half of that is...
Well, okay, one last little tidbit. Sorry.
Oh, do we want to go over the specs of it?
I mean, you can. I wasn't too concerned about that. I was going to say, if you are planning to come, and I know not everybody who's planning to come and participate are listeners, because not everybody in our Discord listens, but do us a favor, reach out, let us know that you're playing, just so we have
please.
An idea of how many people we're looking at.
Hey, and you know,
who are interested in doing this. Maybe
you can't make it to FlightFest, but maybe you can set that weekend that FlightFest is happening. You and some of the guys at your field build a bunch of these and fly it in a combat in honor of what's going to happen there that weekend.
There you go.
We'd love to hear about it.
Be there in spirit.
Yeah, we'll be there in spirit. And I know you'll be there. So give us some pictures too. Let us know it's happening. Let us know you're building it. I want to see them, man. I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right. So one other exciting thing, I think.
Maybe the last exciting thing.
There's a lot going on this episode.
I know it's exciting. We weren't kidding. There's an exciting episode coming. It's right here. This is the exciting episode. All right. So I was in the build channel this weekend. I think I missed a build event. I think I set on Friday. I got my day screwed up. And so I was there on Saturday with Amy, and we had a couple other guys come out. Muttley was one of them. That's Ethan Jacobs. He was the guy who's so far camped with us last couple times.
2 years.
Yep. Yeah. And we're looking for a third this time. I'm really excited. I just love seeing what he puts together. Anyway, so he's like, you know what? You guys take donations? So he's sending us something that I think will allow us to build a very large NOOB Wonder.
It's ridiculous.
And we keep debating like what kind of noob we should buy. Like, should we build two big ones? Joe flies one and I fly one?
I think so.
I think so too. However, I think there's
others. Or do you go really stupid?
No, I think there's a lot of people who want us to build a twin one, but big. With that same, I don't know, man. We'll see what comes in, see what we can put together. But There's a
So Ethan's sending in what now?
he is sending some one of those big agricultural size quadcopter motors that he uses in his businesses, I think. And after they've kind of had their wear, he just, they just say, well, I just had 4 of them. One of them was busted. We're going to get rid of the 3 because we're going to replace the whole drone, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so he's like, well, I don't want to throw it out because I know guys. So he's like, let me help you out with some. So he's going to send some our way. And so it'll be one of those like 435 kV motors that swings like a 15-inch prop. That's kind of what he told me. And I said it basically pulls about
8 pounds of thrust.
Yeah, it said it had, in the tables, it said it had about 8 to 10 pounds of thrust, depending on your motor setup and the prop and the, that kind of stuff. There's a lot to it, but it runs on 6S. And so I think it's a perfect candidate for, I'm aiming for 300% noob.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of those motors would pull that.
I'm pretty sure. Because I can't imagine it being more than maybe 4 pounds, maybe 5 pounds.
Well, let's see. Does it have
the original 700 grams or so?
Yeah, which is shy of 2 pounds.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking the bigger motor, the bigger battery, and it's a lot more foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe twice as much. It'll be 4 to 6 pounds maybe, but it's gonna.
I mean, easy, yeah.
And one of those motors will be plenty, and that's why everyone's like, you should put both on. If we're getting more than one, like, that's ridiculous. But when I mentioned it to Mudley, Mudley's like, yeah, whatever you do with it, it's gonna be great.
Oh man, no, I mean personally, I'd rather us each build what is essentially going to be a 10-foot wingspan.
10-foot. It's the fuse is going to be 5 foot. Yeah, it's going to be a big monster. It's going to be great.
But to slap both of them on there, I mean, you're talking a 15, 20-foot wingspan to...
No. Same wingspan. You just make it like an Angry Bee. You make it with 2 motors and have it go...
Well, in that case, let's just build 2 of the 300%.
Yeah, I think that's
my vote.
Yeah, that's
personally.
my thoughts at.
But we'll see.
Yep, we'll see. So Joe and I are going to be talking about in the next couple months. If you want to send us comments, send us emails, reach out in our Discord what you think you want us to do with that. We're curious.
That's nuts. That's ridiculous.
I couldn't believe it. Either way, a big special thanks to Ethan, to Muttley. Thank you so much. I know he probably wanted it to be anonymous, so if he did, I'm really sorry. But I know it's you might think it's nothing, but I think we're really excited to be able to take this and really bring the NOOB Wonder to be a thing. This FlightFest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really eager to see it. And I feel like that's in being true fashion of Ethan, because everything he builds seems to be over the top big. So I'm excited. Yeah. I'm glad that we can kind of take that spirit and that heart. Oh my gosh. All right.
So let's start bringing it down a little bit, talk about our history segment, and then...
Okay, we're going to talk about a real life planker. I
gotta look up a picture of this guy.
Yeah, go ahead. It is a Backstrom EBP-1 flying plank. It was designed in 1954 and built. It's a mid-wing tailless glider. It's almost like those ones where you see the people running down the cliff and they kind of tuck their feet up into.
That's so ugly.
I know, it's not pretty. Plankers are not pretty. The planks are not pretty.
So
planes.
ugly. Okay,
yeah,
I had my 2 cents on it. Go ahead.
Did you see all the variants though? Anyway, the mid-wing tailless glider, designed by Al Backstrom with help from Phil Easley and Jack Powell. They basically made plans for amateurs to construct. 16 of them were built. Originally, they used drag tip rudders, and it was wooden with doped fabric. Some were built with a fin and a rudder attached to the cockpit in the rear. The first was built there was one built as a 2-place side-by-side seater in Australia, with another built as a motor glider. The standard wingspan is 25 feet, but some were built with up to 30 and a half feet. So they were built more. I imagine the two side by side probably had the extra wingspan. For sure. In 2011, 2 still were registered in the USA, including the one in the National Soaring Society Museum. There were variants A and C, I believe. A is a prototype, and C is a central rotor type. There's also a type B, and that was the standard one that had the twin tip rudders. And then they had H, where they changed the airfoil to a different style. Let me see. The airfoil is an Abrial 15%. I don't even know what that looks like. I was planning on looking it up. I didn't get a chance. I don't know how much of a Clark Y it looks, or is it more like a symmetrical airfoil? But anyway, so they changed the airfoil and tried to see if it made a better plane. And it turns out it was not that successful. So they dismantled that plane, the Model H. The specifications are typically one crew. The wingspan was 25 feet. The wing area, so it's a 4-foot chord. The wing area was 100 square feet. Aspect ratio is 6.25. I went over the airfoil. It was an Abrial 15%. Its empty weight was 150 pounds. Its gross weight was an extra 200 pounds past that, so 350. It had a glide ratio 20-1, which isn't terrible for a glider. It's not like the world-breaking ones that are like 50-1 or 60-1, but that's a pretty good glide ratio considering. It sank at 210 feet per minute at 47 miles an hour. And its wing loading was 3.5 pounds per square foot, which is pretty light. If you want to add a history to the show, you are welcome to do so. You can submit your idea or your history submission to aviationrcnoob@gmail.com. Be sure to include the plane, its rough history, the specifications about it, any variations, and what made that plane special in history, or what's unique about that plane that people might want to know more about, or where should it fit in our discussions. So, if you don't mind making that point, and if you can send a picture too, that's always a nice thing. We'll look one up, I'm sure, but it'd be nice. So there you go.
Nice.
If they want to reach out and talk to us, Joe, you want to close this out and tell them how to do that?
Yeah, I can. I mean, I launched this, so you're welcome to have it.
Oh, okay. Hold on. All right. So we are now at the end of the show. You can reach Joe at joe@aviationrcnoob.com. You could reach me, Matt, at Matthew@aviationrcnoob.com. You can reach us both at aviationrcnoob.com aviationrcnoob@gmail.com. You can go to the www.aviationrcnoob.com and check out all the interesting things that are going on in the show right now. It's mostly a landing page and a couple little things here and there, but we urge you to go out and take a look. There's also a comment section. You can talk to us there if you want. It's a way to make a comment to us directly through that. If you would love to help out the show, you can help us out by sharing with your friends, people who you think might enjoy the show. You can also help out if you want to monetarily through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/aviationrcnoob. You can join us in our Facebook page. Give us a comment. Give us a like. We have a YouTube page, but I don't think we posted much of anything there yet. But
there's a couple old videos out there.
Yeah, but we're still playing around. Don't discount it yet.
Together much.
I know. Don't discount it yet. But there's a couple videos of us flying. If you want to see what us Faces for Radio look like in person. Otherwise, go get yourself a noob. Go get yourself a NOOB Wonder. Get some plans. Get going.
Well, that said, I was just looking at our side conversations with the guys.
Yeah.
And Sam was saying if he was going to offer the kits, he needs some stickers and the cut files. So
stickers are coming. I don't know about the cut files. I know.
Right. So
we'll be getting those out this week to him.
It may not be available in the store yet. Just keep checking.
But it'll be very soon. So keep looking. You won't have to wait long, I'm sure. All right.
That's the hope.
Is that it, Joe?
That was a pretty good go at it. I'll finish it out, guys. As always, Thank you for tuning in and listening. We hope you've enjoyed listening to this conversation as much as we have enjoyed having it. Hopefully you guys are excited about some of these things that are coming up as we are, because there's been a lot behind the scenes going on. It's just been a great time. So
I'm dying on the couch and loving all the conversation that we get to have. Like, oh yeah, it's so much going on. I can't do anything.
So hopefully this turns out well for everybody, and everybody gets to partake and have a little bit of fun with it. Matthew covered the contacts and how to join the Discord if you'd like to hang out, or if you want those decal kits, because that's not available on any other platform except through the Discord server. That's just how Tony's taking those. And Matthew, there's nothing else?
No, that's it. Just make sure to reach out to Flying Tiger Tony. That's how you're gonna find him there at the Discord. Other than that, that's it.
And if you see Dan in Discord, give him a high five, because he's done a lot of hard work on this.
Yeah, and tell him thanks for us. And thanks from you.
Thank you so much, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.
You ready? Yep, hack up the spare lung.
I've been trying to grab to the bottom of the lung and rip it all out. All right, I think we got it. I think we're ready to give it a go.
All right.